Hello, dear friends. This is Rajesh here. And once again, I thank you all for the good response that you've given to me for my previous video. If anybody has missed it, I have given the link below in the description box. Please click and watch. This video is titled as Series of 5, which means every video which comes in the episode series of 5 will be related to number 5. For example, what we're going to look at today is 5 indicator that tells us that we lack faith in God. And before we look at what are that 5 indicators, let's try and understand what exactly faith means. According to the definition in Bible in Hebrews 11:1, faith is a confidence of what we hope for and it's an assurance of what we do not see. Basically, we must understand that faith plays a major role in our Christian's life. If we do not have faith in God or in His Word, then Bible becomes like any other storybook that we read in our day-to-day life. In the same chapter, verse 3 tells us, by faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, not by this Big Bang theory or any other scientific reasons this people is talking about or the world is talking about. Bible tells us, without faith, it is impossible to please God. No faith is equal to no connection with God. Even if you want to get saved, faith becomes a very important factor. Ephesians 2:8, it is by grace you have been saved through faith. We can see many examples in the Bible of people's faith. Abraham, Job, Noah, Enoch, Elijah, all these people had a very strong faith in God. When we come to the New Testament, Jesus was never amazed of looking at the large crowd or any other things during his ministry. There was only one thing that he was amazed of, that was people's faith. Let's look at a couple of instances where Jesus was amazed by people's faith in the New Testament. Listen carefully, this is very interesting. The first one, which was recorded in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 7, the faith of the centurion. Bible says Jesus was amazed by his great faith. Underline that, great faith. The second incident in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6. The saddest part in this instance that Jesus was amazed by lack of their faith. The important point that we need to take notice of it from both the instances, the end results of it. The first instant, Jesus was on his way to the centurion's house. But even before he could reach, he saw the faith of the centurion and the servant was healed. Jesus did not even reach there, but the servant was healed. The second incident, Jesus was physically very much present there, but it says he could not do much miracles except that he could heal a couple of people by laying his hands upon them. The reason that he could not do much miracles over there is because of their lack of faith. So now I am pretty sure that you might have understood the importance of faith in our Christian's life looking at these two instances. Now let's look at the 5 indicators which tells us that we lack faith in God. The first one is fear. As a human, it is common that we fear or get afraid of certain things. But if we are in fear, constant fear, all the time, then it is a clear indicator that we lack faith in God. We'll see why it is. Many times in Bible, that God tells us, do not fear. But we always do the opposite of that. We are always afraid of what if I lose my job? What if I find loss in my business? The fear of exam, the fear of financial commitment or financial insecurity, the fear of sickness, the fear of future. For example, now the whole world is in panic because of this coronavirus. Everybody is trying to see the way to get out of this problem. And because of this coronavirus, many of us have the fear of death. Yes, it is very much important to take precautions at any given situation, but we need not to be afraid of facing that particular situation. The reason behind that, you must always remember that our God is always in control. But one specific fear that all of us must have is the fear of God. But except that, we fear everything else. The fear of God brings lots of blessings in our life. I'll give you a couple of references you can read when you get time. Psalms 111 verse 10, Proverbs 1 verse 7, Proverbs 10:27, Proverbs chapter 14, 26 and 27, Proverbs 19:23. God has given a wonderful promise to all of us in Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10. This will definitely give you strength. Remember this. If we confess that we have a strong faith in God, then fear has no place in our life. The second indicator that we're going to look at is doubt. When we go through any certain difficult situation, the first thing that strikes our mind is doubt. Oh my God, how can I overcome this situation? Can really God help me in this? And so on. Satan is the one who puts or creates doubts in our mind and heart. And that's how he won Eve in Genesis chapter 3. And the rest is history. Now we're going to look at a couple of examples from Old and the New Testaments of people doubting God or in his promises. The first one is Sarah, wife of Abraham. When she was promised of a son in Genesis chapter 18 verse 9 to 12, she did not believe it. Instead of that, she laughed. But it was common that she got that doubt in her mind because she was too old to have a son at that point of time. And that's when God says, is anything too hard for the Lord? The second person is Zechariah, Luke chapter 1 verse 8 to 18. He also gets a very similar promise like Abraham and Sarah. And again, the same results. He also doubts the promise of God at the end of the conversation with angel. One good example to mention to not doubt God is the miraculous catch of fish in Luke chapter 5. Peter just did what Jesus told him to do, and he got the great result for it. Don't doubt God at any point of time. God is El Shaddai, the Almighty. You might have many different logics or many different reasons, but remember this always. What is impossible with man is possible with God. The third indicator is disappointment. We might get disappointed for many different reasons and sometimes without reasons too. Disappointment means it's a dissatisfaction feeling when your needs are not met or the expectations are not met according to your standards. Usually we might get disappointed with God because our prayers has been not answered for a quite long time. You might get disappointed because you are still sick, you are still unemployed, you are still single, or you are physically challenged, or for many reasons like this. And disappointment can lead you to lose faith in God. In the book of Exodus, the Israelites were on their way to their promised land, knowing that they were disappointed so many times with God and Moses during their journey in the wilderness. They were always complaining, grumbling against God and Moses, and even they started comparing their life, telling that it was better in Egypt than to die in this wilderness. During their journey, God himself took care of their needs. He was a pillar of cloud during the day, pillar of fire during night. He provided manna, quail from heaven. In spite of witnessing the miracles of God, they were disappointed for every smallest thing or a problem or an issue that they were facing during their journey. If they had faith in God, they would have definitely praised God for every smallest thing that He has done for them and for the promised land, rather than getting disappointed with Him. Basically, your disappointment shows you do not have patience to wait upon the Lord. Only your faith can help you to hold on to Him and for all your unanswered prayers. In Psalm 40 verse 1, the psalmist said, I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and He heard my cry. If we start getting disappointed for every single reason, then we will become like Israelites, or we end up being Israelites, questioning God all the time. The fourth, self-reliance. If we start depending on our own for everything, we indirectly mean to God that I don't need you anymore since I have resources to take care of myself. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7. We walk by faith, not by sight. When we become self-dependent, slowly we end up stop praying, stop reading the word or meditating the word, and we tend to become so busy that we don't even find time anymore to go to church or for any kinds of fellowship with our fellow believers. And this will lead you to lose your faith in God, and you will start trusting on your own for every single thing. A quick example from the Bible: King Asa. He reigned in the southern kingdom of Judah, which is mentioned in the 1st King chapter 15 and 2nd Chronicle chapter 14 to 16. After he became the king, in the beginning, he did everything right in the sight of the Lord. But at a later point of time, at the end of his era, he did few mistakes and started separating himself from the Lord, and he got a very severe foot disease. Even at that point of time, instead of calling upon the Lord for his healing, he started depending on his own physicians to get healed. Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways. He will make your path straight. So don't depend on yourself. Start depending on God. Bible calls us we are fools if we start depending on ourselves. Proverbs 28:26. Another powerful verse on self-reliance. Jeremiah 17:5. Cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord. When we start depending on our own strength and abilities, we are slowly separating ourselves from the Lord. The fifth, relationship. Not with humans, but with Him. A strong and intimate relationship with God will lead you to have a strong faith in Him, and it is vice versa. A weak relationship with God will lead you to have a lack of faith in Him. In fact, many people have wandered away from their faith because they have absolutely no relationship with God. Remember this: a faith like mustard seed can move mountains. Let's desire God, and He will fulfill all our desires. And I believe this video would have helped you a lot to understand why we lack faith in God, and I pray that every one of us will have a strong faith in God and desire to grow in Him day by day. Thanks a lot for watching. I will see you all in my next video.